Can you tap your head and rub your belly at the same time? Wait, what? Can you pat your head and rub your belly at the same time? It's an old parlor trick brought out at the most inopportune times to make someone feel either ridiculous or quite adept. Can you do it? I'll give you a chance to try. Go ahead. If you did it absolutely right, I'm going to guess that you've tried it before and met with some modicum of success. If you struggled, I'd say you're in good company. Let's talk about what this means and what it might have to do with love. Welcome to Calm in the Chaos Interfaith Center, where sometimes we venture into the absurd to make a point. There are several stages of learning a new skill, as pointed out by Vygotsky's zone of proximal development. That's a mouthful, meaning a Russian psychologist from the early 20th century who was an expert in how we learn in social situations, developed an interest in the period of time between a person not being able to do the skill at all and when the person has mastered the skill. And he broke the learning process into several stages. Here's an example of the stages. Number 1, I've never even been on a bike, never even tried, or tried once and fell off and quit. Stage 2, I've been on a bike with somebody holding it upright and walking slowly beside me to support me so I couldn't fall over. Stage 3, I can ride alone if somebody keeps reminding me, look ahead, keep pedaling. Stage 4, if I keep saying to myself, look forward, I can ride the bike. Stage 5, I just get on it and go. I don't think about anything. What might this have to do with our spiritual intelligence and our growth? Well, all the while that I've been researching and writing this God Talk, I've been hearing a voice whispering, and I noticed a little tapping on my shoulder. The voice is gently murmuring, love your neighbor as you love yourself. These words from Jesus always give me pause because our culture does not always adequately support love of self. And for mental and emotional and spiritual wholeness, we need to have a healthy love of self. A 2020 article by psychologist Dr. Peter Martin is titled, Is it psychologically healthy to love your neighbor as yourself? And here's a quote from that article. Throughout my clinical work, I have often experienced a mixture of admiration and sadness for the way that people relate to themselves and others. Admiration because they're often selfless and compassionate towards others. Sadness because they are often unable to apply these qualities to themselves. Among the many reasons for this, one that is most common is a sense that others deserve compassion and patience, but that applying these things to oneself would be selfish, morally lax, or even an obstacle to charity. So here's where I ask you to wholeheartedly claim your citizenship as a child of God, a spark of divinity that holds stardust in your DNA, a sister or brother to me and to every other living creature on earth. Look in the mirror. Stare at the person for a while, not the haircut that needs a trim, not the eyebrows that need to be plucked, not the lips that are wrinkling. Stare at the person. Look deeply into those eyes and let yourself smile. Tonight, while you're putting the toothpaste on the brush, pause and do the mirror exercise. Now, I'm sure you've heard the old adage, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. See, in order for mama to care for others without tempers flaring and stress increasing, mama needs to be in a state of knowing who she is and caring about that person. To be clear, caring for yourself is not selfish. Setting boundaries around what you can and cannot handle, who you can and cannot spend time with, is a healthy way to care for yourself. Otherwise, our behaviors begin to lean into martyrdom, exhaustion, or both. It's not only okay, it's necessary to love yourself so that you can then disperse the love into the family, into the neighborhood, the community. Again, loving yourself is not selfish. Expecting other people to do what you want and to do it your way is when behavior earns the title of selfish. You may remember Polonius's speech in Shakespeare's play Hamlet, the speech that ends with these words, "This above all, to thine own self be true." Yes, we are each created as a child of God, a unique collection of attributes, thoughts, and behaviors and DNA. Knowing, recognizing, and accepting this uniqueness is a big step in spiritual development. Knowing and then being true to yourself, it's huge. Knowing ourselves is a lifelong journey with a lot of boulders to climb over and intersections where choices must be made. But it starts with intentionally wearing a mantle every day of how you want to be in this world. What energy do you want to emit? How do you want to present yourself to the world? Whether your world is in the mirror, or with a breakfast date, or in front of your second grade class, or at the bridge game. I don't mean putting on a false self, pasting on a smile when we're secretly mourning the loss of a pet. See, striving for high vibrational levels of energy doesn't mean we're pretending whatsoever. It's an intentional way to begin our day, in as much as we choose what to eat so our physical bodies are nourished. We can select how we want to live at a higher energy frequency, which not only changes the face in the mirror, it changes the whole environment of where we land that day. Let's explore how this vibrational choice is part of our spiritual lives. When we choose to live in love rather than fear, when we opt for acceptance over anger, when we're making an effort to live at a higher level, we can change ourselves at a physiological level. There's much sacred text written about anger, for instance. Here's an example. In the Quran, the sacred text of our Muslim neighbors, we find these words from the Prophet Muhammad. Quote, "The powerful man is not the one who can wrestle, but the powerful man is the one who can control himself at the time of anger." Unquote. Here's another quote from the same book. "When one of you becomes angry while standing, he should sit down. If the anger leaves him, well and good. Otherwise, he should lie down." And from the Holy Scriptures in the Bible of our Christian neighbors, we hear these words. "My dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry, because human anger does not produce the righteousness that God desires. Do not be quickly provoked in your spirit, for anger resides in the lap of fools." Now, to be clear, we don't always have the choice. Grief, for example, is a low-level frequency, but we have very little choice in how grief presents herself in our lives. If we remain at a low vibrational level, we may feel as though life isn't fair, things aren't working out, nobody loves me. It's one thing after another. These are the very real feelings, and we need to address them. They may need to be tended to by a professional therapist or a counselor if we find ourselves getting stuck at low-level frequencies. Learning to live at a higher frequency, say of peace or joy or love or reason, we must look in the mirror and assess the stages of learning that I outlined. We may not know how to do this yet, but with somebody coaching us and maybe prompting a little bit, urging, we can master these higher frequencies as ways of being authentic. In our spiritual maturing, we begin at whatever stage we are and strive to move towards an enlightened place where anger is slow, where forgiveness is huge, where a peaceful countenance is the norm, and where grief has her place. May we all take a baby step today towards spiritual intelligence and living at a higher frequency. Our prayer today is called the Bodhisattva. It's a prayer for humanity. It's from Shantideva, an Indian Buddhist sage, written about 700 AD, and it is the prayer performed each morning by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Let's pray together. May I be a guard for those who need protection, a guide for those on the path, a boat, a raft, a bridge for those who wish to cross the flood. May I be a lamp in the darkness, a resting place for the weary, a healing medicine for all who are sick, a vase of plenty, a tree of miracles, and for the boundless multitudes of living beings, may I bring sustenance and awakening, enduring like the earth and sky until all beings are freed from sorrow and all are awakened. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. When certain frequencies in music are played, our cells respond. It's imperceptible to us on a conscious level, but we are changed by various frequencies in sound. The frequency of 963 hertz is used to lower anxiety and increase self-love. This video is long, so do what you will with it. I just sat with my eyes closed for a while, but there are quotes on the screen that you may want to watch, you may want to see them. Blessings on all.